En af hovedretningerne inden for tibetansk buddhisme hedder Karmapą. Retningens åndelige leder kalder man handlingens mand, på tibetansk Karmapå. Ifølge de troende er han blevet reinkarneret 16 gange, siden han levede første gang i det 12. århundrede. Men i 1980'erne opstod der uenighed om, hvem der er nummer 17 i rækken, for to mænd siger begge, at de er reinkarnationen. En af de to er den 21-årige Thaye Dorje, som netop har besøgt Danmark. Da han var bare 1,5 år gammel, meddelte han verden, at det er ham, der er den 17. Karmapå, yogiernes konge, handlingens mand.
When you were 1.5 years old, you told your parents that you were the incarnation of the Karmapå.
Yes.
Can you recall what that was like, that realization?
I think at that time I did say that, yes, to my parents, especially my mom was there, and also the sister of my predecessor,
Right.
was also there. It was at her house, at her apartment, and but of course now it's been let's see, now after 20 years or 19 years, it's been a long time. So
Sure.
yes, so it's quite vague.
Have you ever doubted it? Have you ever said, I'm not sure I am the incarnation, I don't want to be the incarnation? Is that an option, a possibility? Have you ever been tempted to do that?
Actually, it's sort of not much of a possibility, I think.
Right.
Yes. That sort of from the first incarnation of Karmapå, from the moment Monasm sort of made a promise and made a wish that we'll continue the activity
Right.
through each life.
Yeah.
So in that way, there's not much going back.
No.
Yes.
No.
But no, actually, I haven't really felt that much of a doubt.
No.
No, this felt quite natural.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you're traveling all over the West and visiting with people who are Buddhists, who are interested in becoming Buddhists, who have just heard about it. What is the first question that everybody asks about Buddhism?
I guess mostly they ask about the quality of Buddhism.
Right.
Yes. So, which is of course not causing any harm
Yeah.
by practicing or using Dharma. That's, I think.
Using Dharma.
Yes.
Right. To explain to us the concept of Dharma.
Yes. Well, Dharma, of course, it is simply a method,
Right.
to sort of bring out or to a way to express one's very own nature of everything.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is, of course, in this, I would say, time of the Buddha Shakyamuni,
Who is the one? Who
Yes.
is the Buddha for our?
who brought Dharma
Yeah.
to this world, was simply a teaching and a method to realize the nature of everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you call Buddhism a religion, a philosophy? What is it?
Actually, first of all, like when Buddhism first came out from Tibet and then into the West like that, I think during that time it was very new. So for that reason, it was difficult to translate what is Buddhism, right? And in that way, I think there are times that religion was used, because in some ways it seems like that.
Yeah.
But actually, it is not a religion.
Why not? Why isn't it a religion?
Because you see, it's this religion. Of course, my English isn't perfect, but
Sure.
Religion, from what I understood, was that it is about. It is a way to link between oneself and to the God, right?
Yes, sure.
Yes, and in Buddhism, there's no such thing.
No.
It's just our minds.
And so this is, I guess, is one of the things that's difficult for Westerners to understand, because when you come with a Christian background or knowledge of the Christianity as a religion, you sort of seem to search for God.
Yes.
And so this is why people come to believe that Buddha
Yes.
was a god, but he wasn't, was he?
No, he wasn't.
No.
No. He was simply a teacher, someone who showed us, showed us the way to awake one's sort of mind. Yes, because everything that we see in this time the things that we feel, what we hear, everything is just sort of more or less an illusion.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's just a way to sort of to tap and then to wake up.
So just to get it absolutely straight,
yes.
the reason that we are suffering and the reason we are unhappy is that we want things, we desire things,
Yes.
Fame and fortune and
Yes.
happiness and
Yes.
so forth.
Yes.
We don't realize that we can only grasp them for a brief while.
Yes. And they were just sort of yes, for a brief while, and just simply thinking that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Sure.
Yes. So therefore, I would do anything to get it.
Right.
And then that causes a lot of trouble.
So we see something and we say, right, if only I get that,
Yes.
I shall be happy, I shall be released.
Yes, but actually we're not happy. We want more.
And the point is then, of course, that we can never be happy. It's
Yes.
not just a matter of becoming better at our
Yes.
careers or
Yes.
whatever. It
Yes.
all has to perish.
Yes. Yes, in some way or another it will perish.
Right.
Yes. As long as we see things very different from one another.
Sure.
Yes.
The biggest problem for all of us, I guess, is death, of
Yes,
course. That's the
yes.
one thing we all have in common. And that is also the most difficult thing to confront, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, because we simply will feel that actually for a very brief moment that first of all we will lose everything that we have in this life, and then most importantly I will lose myself, in a way.
Right.
That we think that it will all simply go blank.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's no me.
Yeah.
Which is the most scary thing, I think, for anybody.
What then? I mean, what do you tell people when they say, I'm afraid that when I die I'm going to lose me? I'm not going to be here and I'm afraid of that. What do you tell them?
Of course, then for the moment, of course, then we have to first of all show that it's not just this life that exists, but actually, in the relative truth, we reincarnate through one's own karma. So it depends what we have done in this life or previous lives. That's whether we will have a good rebirth or a bad one.
Right.
Yeah. And of course.
But when we are reborn, or when
Yes.
when we die and we leave this life, and we come back, in a sense, we are losing our sense of self, aren't we? No?
Well, in the relative truth, yes. That's how we feel.
Yes.
And that's how we are, in a way, tricked.
Yeah.
In some ways.
But for instance, now when you are the 17th reincarnation of the Karmapą, are you the same person? Have you been the same person throughout these hundreds of years? Are you the same being?
You see, okay, I think I'll have to again go back to the relative truth.
Sure.
In some ways, in a relative truth, yes, actually,
Right.
that's how it is, yes.
So some things change and some things
Yes, of course.
don't.
The form has changed,
Yeah.
definitely. But the sort of the stream of mind, it will be more or less the same.
Right.
Yes.
And so you have access to what all the previous reincarnations have thought or felt, no? Or some access.
Yes, I mean, you mean like memories?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, yes.
Right. So memories of knowledge, or sort of philosophical memories, or thoughts, or emotions too? Can you sort of recall specific instances from these previous lives as well?
Actually, it is possible to recall such memories, yes. Actually, give me all the memories, but then it requires actually a lot more work. That means a lot more meditation.
Sure. Now let's just return to this. We're talking about facing the suffering and facing the fact that we can't hold on to happiness when we find it.
Yes.
What is the next step? Once we have realized that these are our problems, what do we do then?
Then actually we seek for the real happiness.
Right.
Yes. And that is which is not being infested or not being polluted by those three emotions.
Greed, ignorance, and anger.
Yes.
Right. Is that possible, to be completely liberated from them?
It is a difficult process, it's a long process in some ways, but yes, it is very much possible for everybody. Yes.
Are you liberated from them yourself?
No. What do you think?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Now, and so once I've conquered these, and this shouldn't be too difficult, anger, ignorance, and so forth, where do I go from there? Where do I progress from there? What happens then?
And from there, then of course, first of all, of course, we want to actually get rid of those three emotions, or those three poisons, as we say.
Sure.
And we try different methods by simply, first of all, learning everything, learning all the knowledge, being aware of everything, and so that we won't repeat the same mistakes. Yes, and to see what caused us to have such emotions.
Right.
And yes, and that's simply to plug out those emotions.
Once we've progressed on from these and we've conquered them, we're not repeating our old mistakes there. Where do we go to achieve Buddhahood? How close are we then?
No, we're actually pretty close.
Right.
Pretty close. But then at that moment, of course, it's still that we want to save, sort of feeling that I want to save my own skin, right?
Yeah, sure.
At that moment. But then we want to go a bit wider, because simply by seeing that even in this life, knowing that our parents were actually sort of the main cause that, actually not exactly, I don't know, in some way it is a cause that we are here and have this human rebirth, of course, connected to karma.
Yeah,
of course. So for that reason, I want to, how to say, help them as well.
Right.
To also show them what I've learned. So then, therefore, then we start thinking that actually, okay, then if I've taken rebirth, right?
Yeah.
Then is it just one or two or countless or actually none?
Right.
And of course, seeing that everything sort of derives from karma and so on, that actually we had actually countless of reincarnations. So therefore, then actually almost every sentient beings, they could be all, at one time, our parents. So therefore, I must help all.
Right.
And that's how you sort of.
So we are related.
Yes.
I mean, through all the incarnations, we are related to everything else around us.
Yes. But then, yes, we didn't sort of notice until now. Something like that.
And when you said about the vices, the three poisons, when you said that we are all afflicted by them,
yes,
are we all suffering to the same extent?
You see, and that's the thing. When you say suffering, of course, we mostly feel that that someone is in pain, or like being depressed and so on, right? But of course, that's quite. I mean, that shows quite strong. So then we can call that suffering. But then through Buddhism, actually, what we understand and what we are aware is that actually suffering, we can actually see suffering simply by just seeing. I mean, simply by living through this life, right? That we see everything as happy. That's we're healthy, we're rich. We have famines and so on. Of course, actually, in that process, actually, there is a suffering. Actually, we don't know it.
Yeah.
We just sort of, completely ignore it.
Right.
And then that becomes a habit.
So it becomes a habit,
yes,
ignoring
yes,
the suffering.
Yes. In some ways, yes.
Right.
Yes. And then until the moment that we die, in a way, then we start to have lots of questions.
Right.
Yes. I think for anybody, not just for Buddhists, but. And then start thinking, what should I do and what have I done and so on, and then that now I don't want to die, I want to keep on going and so on. Yes. And at that moment then we have really a huge suffering.
Right.
Yes.
Suffering we have. So all the suffering we have turned away from throughout our life comes back to haunt us at that moment of death.
At the moment of death, then if you have done anything wrong in this life, then of course through karma, then next rebirth might not be a happy one.
Right.
Might not be so pleasant.
Now, this thing about rebirth.
Yes.
when I die and I go into death, is it correct that it's very important for Buddhists what is my mental state at that point, what I feel like when I die? That I should be clear-minded and I should be calm?
Yes, of course.
Because what happens if I'm not?
If I'm not, then of course there's a stage where we call it bardo.
Right.
Yes. Sort of, you know, being dead from this life and not having still taken a birth, sort of being between. Then there's sort of a stage where it can last either 7 days or a day.
Right.
Or take a long time.
Right.
In that stage, of course, if you're not conscious, if you're not aware of it, then we still want to live on, right? And then we try to sort of search for places where I can be, where I can exist.
So basically choose a new body,
yes.
or choose a new life,
yes.
as well, yeah.
But then simply not having, I would say, the luxury of choosing, actually.
Right.
Because somehow we haven't learned much.
Right.
Yes. So going through the same habits, because at that one moment, if one is not conscious, one might feel a lot of pain. In that very moment, one might see things very, very cold, very dark, and so on. So naturally, our reaction would be to search for something warmer, nicer, cozier, and so on. So in that way, then we take such new battles.
So if I'm confused when I die, I might make like a hurried choice,
yes.
and take
yes.
to come back,
yes.
like an insect or something.
Yes.
Just in order to regain life in some
Exactly.
form.
Yes.
And if I have more clarity and more insight,
yes.
I will make a more informed decision.
Yes.
Now, once we achieve Buddhahood, we wouldn't want to stay on the wheel of life, would we?
No, we wouldn't want to, but then we see, that's why that for Buddha's ends, we call it also bodhisattvas.
Right. Yeah.
Being, I'm sure you're aware of it, right? Yes. So then for them, they will not actually want to actually to be enlightened.
No.
But
they keep themselves from it.
Yes, but then they want to do more.
Yeah.
They want to help a lot more.
Yeah.
Through mainly by taking births as human being, or whichever way helps sentient beings.
Is that what you are doing then? Are you choosing to come back?
So yes,
right.
For Karmapas, for their reincarnations, it's like that.
Right.
Yes, and of course, not just Karmapas, of course, but
with the purpose of teaching.
Yes, with the purpose of teaching,
right.
with the purpose of showing the way. Yes.
What is the most difficult thing for a Westerner about Buddhism?
About Buddhism. Now that's, I don't know. Actually, what do you like? Do you have any ideas?
Well, I can think of two things. I think one very simple, which is a sort of materialistic thing, right? When you look at Buddhists, we all have this notion that you can do without a lot of sort of the material trappings and a lot of the things that we like, and that we consider to be. I think that would be the simple one that everybody immediately thinks about. I think the other one, because the notion of reincarnation is attractive to many people, because to many people death simply doesn't make sense, and so that is a brilliant way to make sense of death. But I think it goes right back to what we talked about the I. That in being reincarnated, I lose myself, or I lose my personality. I think that would be a major problem with Buddhism, to be able to accept the notion that I am not only even connected to everything else and everybody else, but part of everything else.
Yes.
I think that's difficult to understand.
Difficult to understand because
we have a sense of, us being here, I'm this person.
Yes, but you see, in some ways, yes, it seems like that, yes. But then, in a way, somehow we're trapped. We can't go on any further than that little circle.
Right.
Of I. And then having that feeling of and that want, that sort of degree that that I want to be such and such, so on, and then being reborn as in this form. things are definitely impermanent. It will always go on. Such as we will take rebirth, and we will die. And that's, of course, like you said, death is something that we cannot give up. I mean, like, that we don't want, for sure. And for that reason, then, of course, we want to find a cure that if we can live longer, or I don't know, live younger or whatever. And so,
is that what you see happening when you travel in America, when you travel in Europe? Do you think that? Right.
In some ways, it's when people actually see that this is the only life or the only birth they will take, and I think, and then they feel that they must do anything, everything.
Right.
So
everything has to be compressed inside this life.
Yes.
So if I become a Buddhist, I will realize that there is this life to do certain things, and then other things I can do in other lives.
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be compressed.
Yes.
Does this mean that there's also more suffering in the West today than there has been earlier, than there is in the East?
Well, you see, it's quite balanced in a way. There's both suffering and also good qualities as well.
Right.
Yes. Such as if I talk about the qualities that through having open mind, which is very important.
Right.
Yes. To accept things, right? To accept such as new teachings and so on, new methods, and then to find a better way to help others and so on.
Right.
It is a great way. It is a great. It is a great thing. And then in other ways, such as I would say technology, which is one of the I think wonderful qualities of West.
Could you tell us a little bit? I know it's difficult to describe nirvana.
Yes.
A lot of these questions it's difficult to talk about because how does one describe it? But could you try to explain to us this sensation thing else, and of realizing and understanding the fact that things are different and have a different nature than what we see?
Yes.
What is that sensation? What is that feeling?
That feeling. You see, there's one thing. It's when we enter nirvana, or when we are in that state, it's not like being one with everyone. It's because that's simply not possible to be one with everything. But it's just, in a way, it's very simple. We see things just like this, as we see everything. But then, not, how to say, being trapped or being, how to say, sort of chained by those three emotions. But we're totally free. That's, we have the capacity, we have the potential, we have the energy, the sights and everything that, that whatever quality that we need, we all have it. And then that's we are able to help others whichever we want. So that we actually, it's a state that, we are completely free, completely open. Yeah.
Your Holiness, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
Danish summer.
Danish summer.